Kennedy, don't make fun of me. I had a moment where I didn't speak well, and Kennedy wanted to make fun of me. So she is now no longer. What are you doing? Thank you.
He said rewind.
Rewind. It is TexAgs Rewind.
It's the remix. Presented
by? You don't remember.
Yeti.
Yeti. Thank you. Yeti. Hey, today on the show, John Harris joined us. This is so awkward, but good. He was a little upset with Jimbo's play calling and some of the not calling the timeout and some other issues at the end of the game. You can hear it. It was fantastic. Alan Weddell got us a little bit ready for the Volunteers, and he is not as down as others when it comes to A&M recruiting country. We're still pointing up, we think. And Peter Burns of the SEC Network also had some issues with the way things played out on Saturday, but good things are coming ahead for A&M this weekend in Knoxville. That and more here on the what?
TexAgs Rewind.
Thank you.
As you started that, you were talking about Jimbo Fisher, and I was just like, yep. Absolutely. It was coaching malpractice what he did. He did not give his team an opportunity to win that game in the fourth quarter. Now, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's different from Miami and what Mario Cristobal did. Mario Cristobal ripped the victory from his team because he was unwilling to listen to his offensive line coach who was telling him to take a knee, and he was trusting his arrogant offensive coordinator to know what to do. And Mario wouldn't step in and tell Shannon Dawson, hey, look at the time. Take a knee. He wouldn't do it. He cost his team a win. Jimbo cost his team an opportunity because there are a couple things that go into it. Now, we'll get into the game in a second, but you're down 9. So let's do some math here. You need 2 scores, right? It doesn't matter what order you get them in. You need 2 scores. And I had some people come at me about this. And I'm like, look, you want as much time left in the game to have an opportunity to score your second score, right? No matter what it is, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. So once the sack happened on third down with like 2:30 or 2:45 in the game, I would have immediately run my field goal team out there and kicked the field goal because I needed 2 scores. It doesn't matter the order of the scores. I would have run my field goal team out there. I would have had 2:45 on the clock, roughly. I would have had 3 timeouts left. I could have kicked deep. I could have held them, used my 3 timeouts. I would have had about 2 minutes left to move down and score a touchdown, knowing I hadn't scored a touchdown at that point. But on 3rd and long, you almost got it. Okay, I give it to you. But then he calls timeout. Now you're forced to have to go the onside kick because you burned a minute plus of time trying to get the first down, and you didn't. Then you burn a timeout for whatever reason to kick a chip shot field goal.
Exactly. I mean, that was probably the most disappointing part. We're very talented secondary, and Alabama, they want to run the football, and we definitely stopped the run. There ain't no question about that. I think the first half, we had it under control because we were able to, had 5 sacks, I think, the first half with so much pressure on him. He can't throw the ball on his back, but when he was standing up and had plenty of time in the second half, he's a D1 quarterback and a starter for Alabama for a reason. And he did pick us apart. There's no question about that. We had some breakdowns in the secondary from, I don't know if it was from a scheme standpoint or from a talent standpoint, because Alabama's got some pretty good receivers too. But I agree with you. We've got to solve that problem. And the season is not lost at all. I mean, we finished 10-2. That's a great football season for anybody with most of our team coming back. Now, we have 3 really, really tough challenges, all of them on the road. Tennessee, Ole Miss in a few weeks, and then LSU. So whether we 10-2 or 7-5 again is going to depend on how we react to this loss and how we improve in our secondary, and we find a way to, when people change their blocking scheme and their pass protection, we find a way to adjust our pass rush so that we put as much pressure in the second half as we did the first.
Coach Weddell, I'm going to do a little sunshine pump, and I'm going to allow you to do it. Let's talk about the level of play from Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, that is something we can certainly celebrate.
Oh, I went into the game saying how, on our pregame show, how great his job he's doing. He's an outstanding linebacker. He's a rescue crew linebacker. He could have played for a lot of football teams in the past at Texas A&M. His progression and his improvement is over the last year or so has been night and day. He is definitely a playmaker. He's got some great people in front of him, which of course helps him be able to do that. But you still got to make plays. I mean, you have the greatest defensive line in the world up there, in front of me, and I can't make plays. That guy's making plays. He's a playmaker, and his future's in front of him. And as long as he keeps playing like that, our defense is going to be good against the run, against the pass, with pressure, everything. He's a total player right now.
Do you think, and look, there's not one answer that fits for every player out there, but like as things are developing throughout a year, the highs and lows of a season. I know you said that the actual game that they visit, they said it's more about the experience. But do you think, as you know, to me, if I'm recruiting, I'm recruiting guys that want to be at A&M, and I know it goes deeper than that, right? Like that the record, yeah, it matters, but it doesn't matter. How much is the whole totality of the picture when it comes to like if they decide to decommit, or in your experience?
They're situational, and situations are situational. So every kid will be different. I can tell you, like Miles Davis, when I talked to him after the game the other day, he said, look, losses happen. I know this. Like there are times you go out and you play well and you lose games. There are times you go out and you don't play well and you win games. He said, so losses happen. It's all about kind of how they manage the locker room, the vibe of the locker room, the overall feel of the program.
Yep.
After that. But I do think because they're just going to be hit over the head with it with a lead pipe so much from other people, it's hard to not let it in, you know, to a certain extent. But look, and we need to talk about Kyle Field on Saturday. And last week on this radio program, I sat here and said this is a real chance for the 12th man to not only impact the game, but also impact these recruits.
Yep.
And 9 pre-snap penalties. I wasn't in the stadium, but 9 pre-snap penalties throughout the duration of that game would indicate that was as loud and as rowdy as an atmosphere as we've ever seen at Kyle Field. And from talking to the kids afterward, from talking to people that were in the stadium, they would indicate the same thing. So whenever a crowd has that kind of impact, it's hard for the kids in their inner circles not to be kind of swept up in that. And I've said it before, man, there's not many programs across the country that can offer a game day experience like Texas A&M and Kyle Field can. So like I wrote in my article this week, kudos to the 12th man, because at the end of a disappointing loss, all the recruits wanted to talk about was the atmosphere inside the stadium.
Yep.
I'm the same way. I think that's even why I'm probably even more frustrated about how that game played out, because I sit there and look at it going, all right, I know we just saw Alabama, but Georgia's clearly, in my mind, the number one team in the country and the top team in the SEC. But did I learn anything that didn't make me think that A&M wasn't the third best team in this conference? I'm not quite sure if I can feel that way. I mean, I guess, Ole Miss obviously has a little bit better record, but if you mean to tell me that I'm seeing those two teams play tomorrow, probably taking A&M in that matchup. So I think that's why I had the frustration, and I put it, that little video on Instagram, and I went off on it on Monday, just going, I just felt so bad for Texas A&M fans and players to think you've got Alabama on the ropes. You have an opportunity. You've given 110%, 110,000 people going flipping nuts, and you're not aggressive at a time to where you had a high leverage play against Alabama, and and I'm talking about, of course, the not going for it on the fourth down, and 4th and 1 on their side of the field. Like, I just feel over and over again, in order to beat Alabama, you need to have unbelievable quarterback play, like career-defining quarterback play, or you have to be aggressive when the opportunity calls for it. And I just never felt like that was the case for Jimbo and the Aggies on Saturday.
So make a case for A&M against Tennessee, because this year the 2 games that they've lost have been because people have been able to pass on them. I didn't know Jalen Milroe was capable of throwing the way he did, but he did. Tyler Van Dyke was phenomenal against A&M.
I don't think Nick Saban thought he was clearly – I don't think Saban or Tommy Rees thought he could throw that well, especially under the pressure, but he still did. Yeah.
Hey, friend, which I know that shows are apparently shot in your backyard in your very low chair. Yes. What did the people do?
They need to like, and they need to comment, and they need to subscribe.
Why are you saying it like you're not sure?
I'm very sure.
This is like, you need to like, you need to comment. You need to like.
I look so short.
Well,
anyways.
Truth hurts. It's TexAgs Rewind.